Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 595. Today we'll be doing battle with the Berserker from Backpack Battles. And so, new week, switching over to the Berserker. The Pyromancer is gone, the Berserker is here. No patch this week it seems. I thought that they were coming out every 2 weeks or so, maybe it's once a month, I don't know. You can't be right about everything all the time. They come out weekly sometimes, bi-weekly other times, and then monthly other times, I guess. But I guess if what they're looking to do is with the beta release that came out maybe a week ago, get that out into the actual game with the new bags. That probably takes quite a bit of work to go through. And so, at any rate, I still plan on keeping this weekly cadence. We've got the Berserker up and running. Let's hit that new game button and see what turns up. And so, reasonably powerful start here for the early game. Kicking off with a banana and an onion is always a decent place to be. I wish some of this stuff was on sale. It's so expensive with both the 4-cost pan and the 4-cost walrus tusk that I don't really want to take either of them. I'm not opposed to building either one with the Berserker, but neither really point towards things the Berserker is good at. And so I think I'm going to take the stone, we'll take a roll, see if anything else interesting turns up, and then not that bad. We can come in and pick up the broom here. I do like having a secondary weapon as we jump into this first round of battle. That's what we're going to get out of the broom. And so these other items, kind of meh. Again, like things like whetstone, I'm not super excited about keeping. It's just so expensive. I think we can get past those and then just kind of bank on the money with the stones for this round. See if we can't save a couple dollars for the next time, Okay, I think we're okay against this. I can't quite remember how things pan out against these rangers that don't have any sustain. I think our food carries us through this at the end of the day. We got that W, got that victory. We got one, that's all you need sometimes. You just got to get that one victory. And then interesting set of stuff here. It's like we're definitely going to take the bag. I want to have access to that. But I do like making torches early. I'm a big fan of just what it brings in the early game. It's one of the highest quality early game items that you can assemble, and we got access to it here. It's just one round behind, which isn't too bad. Also interesting of note, though, is we do have this double stone start with the bag of stones available up here at the top. And while I'm not ever interested in building out that stone golem, I guess I'm kind of okay with it in the sense that, like, if we have this start and say we are picking up a pan here into the shovel, and then the shovel digs up a couple of stones, and then it's like, oops, we have all the components. Like, I'm not opposed to making it that way. I just don't actually like to come and seek it out. And so I think this is probably still more of the same. Like, I'm not super interested in picking up this bag of stones here. I think I'm just going to go for the torch off this round and then continue on. I would like to pick up a shield at some point. If it turns up, that would be nice. But it's just so expensive. Like all of these 4 gold items in the early game, passing on the healing herbs, the wooden buckler, passing on things like that. It's just so much. All right. What do we got here? The ever burdensome holy relic thing. I'm not certain if we have enough strength to take it down. It can be so tough to get through those heals, but we did it. We did it, fam. 2 wins in a row. look at us taking this one down. And so, what do we want to do here? Interesting stuff. Another turn to where I could see a few different angles. There is the box of riches. The gemstone builds being fairly, I don't want to say important, but existent. There we go. they exist. The gemstones are a build that exists within the Berserker class. But as far as the Berserker goes these days, the thing that I'm mainly building towards is going to be brass knuckles, and then kind of secondarily, there's the Deerwood Guardian and the Wolf Emblem. I haven't been like super excited about the Shaman Mask. It's something that you can certainly build towards if the Buster Sword turns up early, but I don't like going out of our way to pick up these gemstones early to make the Shaman Mask work. And so if the box of riches this early is on sale, I'm kind of on board with it. When it's at 3 gold, you can resell it whenever and use it as kind of an economic item, but I don't like building towards it in terms of looking for that Shaman Mask. I think maybe one day if these things like Box of Prosperity are a little bit stronger, or if the King Crown's a little bit stronger, then these builds might be a little bit more interesting. But like trying to put together a build to where you have 2 boxes of riches so that you have one active and then you have a second one for your king crown. It's just so expensive to do, and so not really interested in going down that path. Otherwise, there is a dagger, there is a pan. I do like daggers. Within these builds, you are going to see us go towards these brass knuckles fairly frequently this week, and it's just a kind of a free item in these brass knuckles builds, especially if we go towards mana builds with brass knuckles. And so I'm a little bit interested in the dagger, a little bit interested in the pan, just to potentially make a broom. But I don't want to get too invested in this round because nothing's really on sale. Not interested in the sword whatsoever. And so maybe we will just kind of try and kick things off with the dagger brass knuckles build I've been doing this week. It is a mana based build. I was kind of waiting to see if a patch came out and see if there were some nerfs to the mana stuff this week, and there weren't. So I think this should be relevant at least over the next few weeks. And so let's go ahead and pick up this dagger. Long story short, we got a dagger in our long story short, we got a dagger in our mix now. Okay, reasonable stuff here. We do have another leather bag along with the leather armor. Interested in both of these, and so we can't fit any of them into the backpack at this point. I'm just going to go ahead and purchase the leather bag so that we free up the bag space in the next round. And then we're going to look to add in the leather armor. Maybe we could have gotten the leather armor here. If we'd sacrificed our stones, we would have had the $7 to do it, but I think we would have been short in bag space to actually fit it in. But we'll certainly have it next round. Whew. All right. Good stuff. What do we got here? Another Berserker. He hit Battle Rage first. That's typically bodes well for us, but his buffs are a lot better than ours. Oh, taking it down at the end of the day. That one got real close right at the end. Go us. Got that 3-win streak. Gotta just stop the video right here. Just call it a day. It usually doesn't get any better than this. So carrying on. Definitely want the leather armor. That's going to get picked up. I do like some of these foods here, the on sale banana and the blueberries. Again, like I always, at least in this patch, have the eye to be building towards the spike staff. And so to get you kind of in the mindset of what we're going to be looking to do with this build, we're going to want a spike staff. We're going to want a mana thirst. We'll take 2 mana thirsts if they come up. And then we're going to look to use the brass knuckles to put crit on all of those items. So we'll have crit on the wand. We'll have crit on the mana thirst. But we do still have some extra space with the brass knuckles punchy parts, right? It's got the 5 stars on the punchy parts, and that's where we come in and put some additional daggers. Now, the thing that makes me really like to come in and build all those extra daggers is you get 2 pieces of synergy with it, right? You have the spike staff generating all of these empowereds, and so it's very easy to be in 20 plus empowered, putting all of those bonus attacks on those daggers, and then those daggers also getting the free strikes if your brass knuckles manage to crit. And so this is what I like to build towards. It doesn't always come together, but that's kind of plan A. Plan B tends to just be going for chain whips, doing the same thing. So instead of having the mana based build with the spike staff and the mana thirst, we just go over to the chain whip, still manage to make the brass knuckles, manage to make some daggers, but it's not nearly as effective. It's more of a make it to the survival rounds build as opposed to a succeed in the survival rounds build that you will get out of the spike staff. Last thing to kind of call out as we do push ourselves down this path, I made a lot of note of this in the Pyromancer videos last week as we had a lot of mana based builds there as well. I only want one item soaking up our mana, and so it's very easy to be like, oh cool, we're generating all of this mana with mana thirst, let's add in a spike staff, let's add in a magic torch, have all of this mana sink for that. That's not what we want. We really just want the spike staff, and then we'll occasionally come out and pick up some of these glowing crowns for the defensive measures. But where I'm getting with this is I don't want to be building spectral daggers, because this mana shred just isn't worth the damage. Using the 1 mana to attack health directly, deal an extra 7, it doesn't scale up enough, and it's not worth the mana loss that we would be wanting to sink into the spike staff. And so while we do want to pick up a bunch of these daggers, we want them to be things like bloody dagger, we want them to be poison dagger, we don't want spectral daggers. So all right. got that out of the way. Let's go ahead and get rid of these stones. We're gonna pick up some blueberries here. We're gonna pick up this banana. Okay, let's see how much of this we can make fit. Not super worried about keeping the dagger or the forging hammer within the within our bags at all times here. It just you tend to they don't deal a ton of damage, and so if they have to come out of the bags, it's not that big of a deal. All right, looks good. Into battle. Upward, offward, offward, away we go. Dang. Check out the banana on this guy. Oh, so inappropriate. So inappropriate. Get it out of here. What do we got? The battle's churning forth. I don't think we can outdo this. He's getting up way too much heat. We're not going to out-sustain this round. Yeah, he got a big boost of, like, he fell into the single-digit health and then just boosted right back up into the 20s. That's okay though. We're still feeling kind of strong. And so moving on, moving up. I don't like the, well, I shouldn't say that. I think the oil lamp is just one of the absolute best weapons in the game. It's not super critical in terms of the Berserker though. I am going to take it here. Using the oil lamp to upgrade the torch to the burning torch is quite nice. The way this typically goes for me is what's going to happen is we're going to take the oil lamp, we're going to upgrade the burning the torch to the burning torch, and then next round we're going to find all the components we need for our mana-based build. But in the event that that doesn't happen, we'll be exceptionally happy that we picked up the lamp. So let's add that in. I want to take a roll and see if we can find a bag. We did manage to get one here as well. Looks pretty good to me. And so let's sell the stone. I'm going to go ahead and sell the onion. It's not a particularly important food to be having. And now let's get this bag up and running a little bit better. I think we can do something like this. Get a little bit better usage out of that bag space. We should also be able to get one of these bananas into the bag. Not certain if we would prefer the banana or the lamp. We'll just go with the lamp at this point. Think this is okay. Not opposed to it. Then there is an on-sale health potion. I do kind of like picking up mana potions along the way. I think I'll pick this up because it's on sale. We have the components to turn it into the mana potion at this point. And then if we end up needing to sell it because we've switched over to Chain Whip, I think that'll be okay. What do we got here? The hammer bag out of the Warlock, but he's not upgrading his dagger with the thing. We'll see how this plays out. Tends to be very RNG heavy going up against these hammers. They'll hit with the hammer and get a stun in and deal a ton of damage, and it's like, oh wow, you did your 30%er thing, and then other times they whiff. And so, bit of a bummer there, but is what it is. All right, interesting stuff. A lot of good things turning up. There's the spiked collar, which we certainly want, the health potion that we stored, and then the blueberries back at home. We are running out of bag space at this point, which is a little bit of a bummer, but I think this stuff is good enough to just not warrant rolling. And so I'm going to take it a little bit slow. I'm not going to like lock this dagger or anything. I think we'll just end up letting it go. There's other things I think are a little more important at this stage to be trying to find. And so I don't think picking up the second dagger here when we don't have any components for it is going to be super worthwhile. Now, I'm not certain if we can fit this bag how I want it to look. I want to get... I was gonna say I want to get some of this food in the bag, but I also want to be upgrading this this health potion to mana potion, and so I think that this is okay. The blueberries are on all the bananas. That's so sexual. Everything about this game is so sexual. All right, let's get it together. Let's focus. But we've got the oil lamp on our burning torch. Everything looks good here. I think that's about as good as a bag as we're gonna get. Let's dive on in. Oh, the Bloodthorn. I have had a bit of success with the Bloodthorn in this patch. Just getting murdered by it out here now. Very quick upgrades for the buffs, but let's see if we can sustain through. Nope. Need to pick up an upgrade. Our weapons aren't exactly where we want them to be at this point. Okay, so here I'm going to skip over this blood amulet. We need to be getting the kind of direction we want for our final build, and dropping 9 mana or 9 gold at this point just isn't it, right? If we were on some kind of serious vampirism style of build, then sure, maybe we want to pick up the blood amulet. If it was critically important to, say, build a vampiric armor, then fine, you have to take it. But these things are just so expensive at this point, it's not worth it unless you're upgrading it into down like a specific path. And so if it was on sale, I would take it, but it's not ultra critical at this point. There's other things I'm looking to find, and here's the important stuff. The big guns really rolling through now. We got this mana orb that we need to upgrade the broom. That'll get us 2 turns away from our spiked collar, and we've also got a prismatic orb, and so we are just like primed and ready to go towards the to go towards the mana build here. And so we just got to get these things organized in our bag just right. We will be off to the races. Let's see. We definitely want the mana orb. Now, as far as this other stuff goes, we can look to just take the dagger out. Again, it doesn't deal a ton. It doesn't do a whole lot of work as far as getting the upgrades in. And what I was looking at here is potentially just picking up this on sale cheese, because that is a fairly good deal as well. Getting that for 4, it's not a real long-term kind of item. I don't want to put forth the idea that we're going to be going towards some kind of cheese build here, but it's pretty good here in the early game. We'll look to just end up selling it off later. I think we might even want it in the speed bag just to... it activates faster than the bananas and gives us more health, right? This activates and gives us 10 health. The banana activates and gives us 4. And so I think we would rather get the most activations out of it. And now let's come out here and reserve this prismatic orb. All right, coming together, coming together. What do we got here? Looks like some kind of crit ranger. It's deceptive seeing our health bar go down, but our health is actually going up quite a bit from what that cheese is doing. It's like, I think we're still going to end up losing the round here, but that's getting us in a pretty good space. And so again, I like to go for the brass knuckles. I know you see a mana build and probably want to go towards the chieftain, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think you have to be a little bit more food heavy than we are at this point. But if you're going to come out here and look to make a bunch of prismatic orbs, it doesn't really work out that well with the Deerwood Guardian. And then, since it is our first video of the week, I'll make a quick note here. I think Blacksmith Anvil might be the worst item in the game. I have absolutely no desire to go for it. And then I still need to kind of figure out how the crit works on the wolf emblem, right? And so with the wolf emblem, it's kind of interesting in the sense that the brass knuckles give the items 5 crit on hit. So you hit once, you get 5. You hit the second time, you get 10. You hit the third time, you have 15%. I'm not entirely certain how the pets work on the wolf emblem, in the sense that it says plus 12%. So I assume if you have 1 pet, it goes up to 22. If you have 2 pets, it goes up to 34. If you have 3 pets, it goes up to 46. But I'm not certain if it's actually additive or multiplicative. And so if the first pet gives, or the wet that gives 10, and then the first pet gives it 12% of 10, so it would be up to like 11, and then the next pet gets it up to 12. Like, I think it's plus the 22, the 36, the 48, but I'm not entirely certain. Otherwise, I prefer the wolf emblem if we have a like a Goobert online. If we'd gone out of our way to make a cheese Goobert or something, and we already have a target for it, I like it that way, since it does take some time to ramp up. It also works nicely with the Thornbloom. If you go for it, Thornbloom, a little less common with the Berserker, since we have access to Chain Whip, but it's just the way those things go. But here, let's get this build going. We'll pick up the brass knuckles. I do want to go ahead and pick up the prismatic orb this round. We could just go ahead and sell the forging hammer. Now, it's kind of an interesting thing to me with the forging hammer, in the sense that you can sell it. You do get this kind of free money out of the hammer. It's not that great anymore. I don't intend on making any more upgrades off of this, so we don't need it. The kind of bummer you get out of the forging hammer is it does start to turn up in the shop, and so it is, you know, kind of interesting how that plays itself out. I'm just going to go ahead and sell it here so we can get this prismatic orb online and start to get our build up and running, but always interesting to note how that plays itself out. Now here, this is going to be a bit of a pain point. We need like one more bag for this to be kind of up and running with what we're doing, but I think we'll be okay. Let's see, we can get our brass knuckles in. Something like this is probably close to okay. Might need to go this way. Want to get those mana bonuses right from the start. It is a touch awkward though. Might need to just do like a whole rotate on the bags here. Like at the end of the day, we need to get one more banana in, and I want to have maybe like this is the answer. Hang on. Just shifting the spiked staff up. Alright, I guess I'm kind of okay with this. We miss out on one magic item for the prismatic orb. We'll just live without that 2 mana for the day. It's not the biggest deal at this stage. I know it's not optimal, but you can make the decision. Do you want me to take 10 minutes to figure it out while I while I hee-haw through the video, or do you want us to just push the button and move on to the next round? We pushed the button. Got our victory. Good stuff. Always nice to get the victory on one of these upgrade rounds. Now let's see what we can do. Got our friend Mana Thirst turning up, or I should say the Hungry Blade. Not quite Mana Thirst just yet, but right on track for what we're looking to do. Otherwise, I'm not a huge fan of Potion Belt, but we do need to we need to get more bag space at this point. So we're going to take it. I'm going to go ahead and sell off the Burning Torch. Get the Hungry Blade in the bags. And let's see. All right, fine. You know what? Just fucking fine. that's what you got to just say at some point, huh? Fine. The thing that's kind of unfortunate for our bag at this point is we're ideally pick up some speed bags at some point, and we don't have those at this exact moment, and so we might end up messing up our bags a little bit later if they do turn up, but kind of is what it is. Okay, so we get to kick off something like this. I tend to put the oil lamps onto the Hungry Blade because it attacks faster, right? It's got the 1.6 cooldown compared to the 1.8 on the spike staff. I think that's the typical way to go for these things. Might be wrong, but that's the way I typically go for it. Now let's see what we can do with the rest of this stuff. Probably just gonna have to switch it anyways to get this dragon scale armor online. And we'll be looking to get the orb probably like this. And then it's going to hit the food up top. You will find with these builds, you tend to have a lot of these open spaces from the prismatic orb wanting to hit all of those hexes. But I think this is a pretty good start. This is getting to be in a pretty decent space as far as where our build wants to be. So let's push forward. All right, another hammer build. Let's see if RNGesus bestows us with a blessing today. Took him right down. Okay, nothing we really want here. And so again, like I'd like to upgrade the daggers. I'd like to find more prismatic orbs. We will need to find some defensive stuff as the game goes on, but just kind of off to the races as far as this goes. And oh shit, just another prismatic orb right out the gates. Oh boy, it's running today. Let's go ahead and sell off the banana. It gets a little awkward in terms of how we're going to fit these things into the bags, and so I think it's safe to go. Alright, get those flip-flopped around just a little bit. I think something like this will end up working out. And so I think we can get the prismatic, or the mana potion down next to that prismatic orb. Okay, off to the races. So what do we got here? The old food berserker. I had an interesting game yesterday off stream with the food berserker in the sense that I got a super early pandemonium. Like, I probably got Pandemonium on round, like, 3 or 4. It is very good to the mid-game, but I think you just have to be in the mindset that you're going to sell it. And that's where we ended up going. It's just not particularly strong at this point, and getting rid of it just felt like the thing to do. Like, it's like you get it, and then you're like, okay, well, I have this Pandemonium. I'm starting to build towards mana because I want all of these blueberries and things that tie in with it. And then once you get there, you're just like, oh yeah, the the mana items are just way better. I want to just abandon the food as is. But let's see. We got a mana orb here that's going to let us make our mana thirst. Excited for that. I need to do something like this. It's a little ineffective with the prismatic orbs, but it does let us activate the mana orb, and then I do kind of want the Shield of Valor. I'm trying to decide if it's a little bit too early for it, because it does take up a lot of bag space and it does cost a lot of money. I think I'm going to let it go for the moment. The other thing is, I will note, is we sold our forging hammer. So I'm not particularly interested in leather boots, but I do find this to be a build to where I don't hate them. I typically don't like the leather boots or the spiked boots, whatever they're called on the upgrade, the dragon skin boots, but empowered tends to be fairly good in this style of build as we're out here running around with 6 weapons. And so having that little bit of access to empowered tends to help a fair amount and get a little bit of armor along with it as well. And so I'm not trying to tout this as like a super high class, high quality item, but it doesn't suck as much in this build as it does in a lot of the other builds. So I think that's a fair and safe way to put it. So here, let's snatch up this bag. I guess we can pick up another oil lamp. It's not a real necessity for these builds, but that stacking damage is kind of nice. All right. It's like, oh, there's the cauldron. I see these poison warlocks and expect them to just start with like 400 health, and I was like, oh, his health is short. He must not have found his pets, but he got there. Okay. So some upgrades have come in, huh? We've got the blood amulet. I am gonna go ahead and take it and upgrade the dagger at this point. I'm kind of considering just letting the oil lamp go, but I'm gonna pick up the spiked collar here, so we can hang on to it for another round. It is a pretty high quality upgrade for us to be getting, and there's just not a ton of stuff our build really needs at this point. Like, another mana thirst would be fine. More prismatic orbs would of course be good. I do want to pick up some defensives, but the defensive I prefer is the glowing crown. Just picking up that invulnerability is better than any other armor we can get. And so that's what we'll be on the lookout for. Otherwise, I would like to pick up some Wolpentingers. The Wolf Tiger, if it turns up. Having 2 Wolf Tigers means our mana won't run out with all the buffs that we get. And so it plays into this build kind of nicely as well. There's the Battle Rage. See if our health starts to creep back up. Good stuff. Getting them good. All right, we got another bag. Here's the oil lamp. Definitely good to add it. I'm not opposed to things like Stone Skin Potion within this build. Again, there's just like not a ton of stuff we need. As long as we don't get like crit out by a ranger right at the beginning of battle, we tend to be pretty strong. And having access to these big high health potions isn't that bad. But I think we'll let that one go. I'm leaning towards just holding on to the money this round, but we do have a lot of space in our bags at this point, and so I'm thinking maybe we just end up picking up the banana here. We can look to sell it a little bit later. Now, are these things going to fit? I wanted to get the oil lamp up on our, I'd prefer it all to be stacked on the same weapon. This is our bags are so awkward over here. I guess we're kind of free to just move everything to the left one hex. It's not optimal at the end, but doesn't particularly matter at this moment. Okay, good deal. There's that scary crit ranger coming at us we were worried about. He zinged us. He zinged us through our battle rage. Bummer. Alright, and so that has me curious if we need to be, like, chasing down some more defensives, or if it, it's just kind of a, it just kind of an is what it is moment. Like, but as far as that goes, like, I don't really want holy armors. The defensives, helmets are good, right? It stops those big crits. Things like Moon Shield is good, preventing all of the range damage as well. And then, again, that glowing crown is what I want. The sustained style of things, like the moon armor, just not what I'm particularly looking for. And so, let's just roll the dice, Let's pick up this Wolpentinger. Let's act like that round just didn't happen. And we'll see if we can't upgrade any further out here. So that looks fine. We're probably going to end up selling this banana. I do want to pick up this mana orb. We're not going to have the money this round, though. Alright, we can get started like that. Let's put the lock on the mana orb and move forward. And yeah, so hopefully we just don't run into any more of those crit rangers, right? As long as we aren't just getting crit out right at the start, I think we should be okay. But it is a little scary. I readily admit that our defenses aren't as good as they should be at this point. Alright, not certain if we're going to be able to sustain through this one. Bummer. Bummer. Real pain point there. But that's at least a good primer on this build. It didn't go quite how we wanted it to in the end, but all of the makings of this build being good were here. We got the great early start. As far as our weapons go, kicking things off with the Spike Staff and the Mana Thirst. The things that we didn't piece together here were the defensives, and so we needed a little bit something else. I know this was kind of a sustain round at the end, but we didn't have enough defense in our build with this Dragon Scale armor. There is a lot of popularity of the Ranger-based version of this build running around that just tries to OTK you right at the start, and that's very similar to the other versions of the Crit Ranger builds, but the difference between this and the Ranger version is we don't have that ability to OTK because it takes us a bit of time for our crits to ramp up, right? As the battle here was ending, our Mana Thirst and our Spike Staff were up to 40%, to where those Ranger builds are at like 80% plus, usually 100% right at the start of the battle. And so we do tend to need a little bit more sustain than you would see out of the Ranger builds, but this should be a pretty good primer on what's happening here and what I've been using as kind of my #1 build as far as the Berserker goes. Now, where I think that this build has probably fallen apart, and the place to where we definitely could have made some upgrades, was the oil lamps. I don't feel like we really needed the oil lamps in this build. It's something that I really like in the mid game, as you run into those spots to where you're hitting the fatigue rounds and you're just kind of going back and forth with double banana onion against an opponent that has some more bananas, and the oil lamps really take you over the edge in those style of battles. But it tends to be something that this build doesn't really need. And so I think that was probably where our pain point was. We spent 14 gold on these oil lamps, and how much better would life have been if we, instead of having these oil lamps, just had that holy armor that we didn't want, or if we picked up, probably saw a helmet along the way. If we could swap a 7 gold oil lamp for a 7 gold helmet and a 7 gold Crystal of Corruption to get that corrupted helmet, we would be in such a better spot here. And so, I think this is a good primer and idea. You'll probably accidentally see us use this build later in the week as to where we go towards the mana build with the brass knuckles, but I think that's where our kind of losing moment was in this, was picking up these oil lamps was a little bit too expensive, and we picked up that blood amulet for the dagger as well. We could have stayed away from it, probably use that 9 gold towards something else, because the kind of the dagger upgrades you would prefer to be something you'd prefer it to be something that has on sale, right? You don't really care if you get the bloody dagger. You don't really care if you get the poison dagger. Ideally, those things would just be on sale. And I think that that's where we really lost out on this round. We spent 9 gold on the 9 gold on the blood amulet, 7 gold on the oil lamp, 7 gold on the oil lamp, and didn't get our defenses together when our offense was good enough with the Mana Thirst, Spike Staff, Double Prismatic. And so, good stuff, good learning moment, but hopefully that'll help you out, help you rank up in the upcoming days, because that is going to do it for us today. So, hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way. You had a good time watching. This is Bust of Me. Thank you for being here.